Hello everybody. Hopefully you have a chance to watch the previous video that I have uploaded for this semester. On the previous video, we discussed view range with the focus of the cut plane only. And in this video, we are going to discuss the remaining components of view range. If you haven't watched that video, I suggest that you stop this video and watch the previous one first. Without further ado, let's get started. On the previous video, we focused on area number 5, which is the primary range. And within that primary range, we spent a lot of time focusing on cut plane, which is element number 2 within the primary range. In this video, we will focus on the entire view range, which include primary range and view depth. We will discuss every single component to know what it does and how to work with them. And on that topic, I have prepared a Revit file for you. On this made-up section, we have 3 levels, level 1, level 2, and a basement. And as I mentioned on the previous video, view range is the function associated with floor plans, and each floor plan will have its own view range. As I have depicted here for you, we have default view range for basement level, default view range for first level, and also a default view range for second level. They work independently from each other, but sometimes when there's an overlap within the range, as you can see between basement and level 1, they can interfere with each other. We're going to put a pin on this, but later on I'm going to show you how those interference can affect you. Let's compartmentalize. We're going to focus on level 1. And in this section, I have prepared a made-up kitchen which include base cabinet, wall cabinet, kitchen exhaust, and some clear story window above the wall cabinet. On a side-by-side comparison between the section and the floor plan, you can clearly see that the base cabinet are below the cut plane, which is this guy over here. And the cut plane clearly cut through this window here, which is that window over there. And it also cut through this door here, which is this door over here. However, wall cabinets, this wall cabinet, this, and kitchen exhaust are above the cut plane, but they are still shown on the floor plan. How did that happen? According to the Autodesk website, elements that are belong to window category, generic, or casework will display on the floor plan if it occurs between the cut plane and the top plane. Here on our makeup section, you can see that the casework occurs between the 2 planes, and therefore you can see them on the floor plan. To be clear, the element doesn't have to completely be within the area between cut plane and the top plane. A portion of it can be above the top plane, as you can see on the wall cabinet. However, if I were to move the entire wall cabinet above the top plane, that wall cabinet will disappear from the floor plan. And if I move it down or just have the bottom portion of that wall cabinet dip just below the top plane, it will appear again on the floor plan. In conclusion, any elements that belongs to the 3 categories that I mentioned earlier, if you need them to appear in plan view, you need to make sure that they exist between the top plane and the cut plane. They can overlap with the top plane, but they cannot be completely above the top plane. Now let me give you another example, and this time I'm going to use an element that belongs to the window category. How it works doesn't really make sense to me, so I'm going to show you the best of my understanding. I'm going to place a 24 inches by 24 inches casement window above the cooktop, and also I'm going to make sure that the sill height is above the cut plane, so I'm going to set the sill height to 4 feet 6 inches. As you can see, the casement window showed up correctly in plan view, even though the cut plane did not cut through it. It is simply occur between the cut plane and the top plane. However, if I were to make the change to this window, if I change it to a fixed window, the window would disappear. And for this reason, I'm not quite certain how you would use this feature in Revit. Also, I couldn't think of any elements that belong to generic category that I would use in my Revit model. So for that reason, I don't have a sample for you. Now, I'm not saying that they don't know what they're doing, I just simply don't know how to use it. Perhaps some of you can leave me a comment and enlighten me in this area. One interesting behavior that I want to bring it to your attention is this. If you look at the kitchen exhaust, in section view, you can see that the cut line did not cut through it, and it is within range. It is between the top plane and the cut plane. And if I open up the family itself, you will see that it belongs to specialty equipment category. Specialty equipment is not one of the 3 categories that was mentioned in the Autodesk website, but the kitchen exhaust shows up in plan view. Now this makes sense, but I'm just pointing this out to you because it is not one of the mentioned categories. So there you have it, the function of the top plane or the top limit in view range. Now let's have a look at the area that is below the cut plane but above the bottom plane. Now this is the range that we work with the most, so as far as how the object behaves should be quite predictable to most of you. In this section of the video, I'm going to focus on what caused those objects to behave a certain way. So any object that the cut plane cut through, those objects will be shown using cut lines. And any object that is below the cut plane, and everything else in this case, they are casework, kitchen sinks, cooktop, they were all below the cut plane and therefore they are displayed using projection lines. If you head on to Manage tab and click on Object Style, and then you get an Object Styles dialog box. To the left columns, these are all objects categories that came with Revit. To the right of category column is line weight column, and line weight column is further divided into projection and cut. Let's explore this area a little bit further. If you scroll all the way down under category column, you see walls. And the default display for anything that's under wall category is 0.2 mm for projection and 0.5 mm for cut. The 0.2 and the 0.5 mm is an old reference from when we used to draft manually using mechanical pen. It refers to the thickness of the line. We're going to explore this area a little bit. I'm going to change the cut value for the wall categories to something thinner. Say we change it to 0.2 mm. And watch what happens. The display of the cut line changes. So that's what's control the display behavior of an object in plan view. And the same behavior can be expected in section view as well. Now this behavior is not exactly what I want, so I'm going to change it back. Let's have another look at objects currently displayed in projection line. If you head on back to Manage tab and click on Object Style again, you're going to get the same dialog box, and this time we're going to look for casework under category column. And all of these categories, you can see plus sign to the left of it. That means they're a subcategory to all of them. This time we're going to click on the plus sign and we're going to look for countertop under the subcategory. We're going to change its projection value to something thicker. Let's do 0.5 mm. As expected, the projection line display for countertop changes from 0.1 to 0.5 mm. Once again, this is not exactly what I want, so I'm going to change it back. Before we move on to the next area, you may be wondering what happened to the refrigerator and the tall cabinet. Clearly, the cut plane is cutting through it. How come we don't see it in cut line? While this is a subject for another day, I just wanted to point out that what you're seeing here on the floor plan, you're not looking at an object. You are looking at something called symbolic line. In the nutshell, the visibility of the refrigerator as an object and the tall cabinet as an object is turned off. And in place of that lack of visibility for the two objects, symbolic lines were added instead so that it can be displayed differently and independently from object styles in plan view. Earlier in this video, I mentioned that for each plan view, there's a view range assigned to it. And when there's an overlap in view range, a visibility conflict may occur, and we put a pin on that, and now it's time to visit that area. Currently, we are in basement level, and there are several objects here that doesn't belong. Let's take a look at what they are. Back in section view, you can see that the view range for the basement is overlapping with the view range on level 1. And back on the basement level, these objects are base cabinets for the kitchen. To further clarify that, let me view tile this. In plan view, if I select the corner cabinet, you will also see that it is selected as well on the basement level. Let me type TW on my keyboard to get back to the single view mode. Now, without understanding that the conflict is occurring on the basement level, most of us, myself included, will take the easiest way out. For the object that doesn't belong, we will just element hide it in order for it to not show on the basement level. I'm going to type EH on my keyboard for element hide. This is a temporary solution because it does not fix the problem. What happens if you add more cabinetry on the first level? Those new cabinetry will keep showing up on the basement level. A more permanent solution would be to eliminate the conflict. Let me undo the element hide. First, I'm going to reveal hidden element and control select them all. Right click and unhide them. Turn off reveal hidden elements in the view control bar. Then we're going to head on back to the section view for a quick look. Over here you will see that the top plane of the basement level is overlapping with the bottom plane of the first level by 6 inches. But I want to make sure that the top plane of the basement level is below the first floor. So here we have 1 foot and 6 inches. So I'm going to drop the top plane of the basement level down from 7.6 to 6 feet. Let's go back to the basement level to make the change. I'm going to hit escape twice to get out from the current command. And now the property in the property palette is the property of the current view. Scroll down to about midway and you see view range. Click on edit, then change the value for the top plane to 6 feet. Now there's no conflict for view range between level, and therefore those cabinetries disappear all at once. And if you need to add more cabinetries on the first level, you no longer have to worry that it will show up on the basement level. Finally, we can discuss view depth. By default, view depth is set to 0. If you take a look at this diagram, view depth is area number 6. And to show you this example, I'm going to show you exactly how this diagram is showing. On my made up project, I have a foundation prepared just like what you're seeing here on the diagram. Let me show you what it looks like. I'm going to cancel out of this. We're going to go back to section. Let me take a quick dimension to see how far the top of the foundation is below the basement level. So we have 3 feet 0 inches in the negative direction below the basement level. I want to make sure that the view depth is a little bit more than that, so I'm going to set the view depth to -4 inches. Let's get back to the basement level. I'm going to hit escape twice to get out from the dimension command. And in the property panel, scroll down to about midway once again, click on edit under view range, and change the offset for the view depth to -4 feet. OK out of this dialog box and the edge of the foundation will display. According to the Autodesk website, an object shown within the view depth are shown in beyond line style. And right now, beyond is shown as thin continuous line. If that's not what you want, you can go to the Manage tab, click on Additional Settings, then select Line Style. We're going to get line style dialog box, expand the list, and we're going to look for beyond. Currently, the line weight is set to 0.1 millimeter with black color. Line pattern by default is set to solid. I'm going to change it to hidden 1/8 of an inch. Click OK out of this dialog box, and now beyond line style is showing in hidden line. In conclusion, any objects that are below the bottom cut plane and within the view depth will be shown in beyond line style. That's it, folks. This is everything I know about view range. I hope that you find this video helpful, and if you do, please consider subscribing. Thank you, and I hope to see you again soon.